50 of them participate in the global travel economy. Now, taking that one step to the right, about 40 to 60 of those countries are highly dependent upon tourism. These are countries where 30 to 70% of their GDP is dependent upon tourism. And then there's this regional dependence. So tourism isn't evenly distributed. It concentrates around certain countries, certain regions, and the way that it works economically for countries is absolutely significant. So yes, we have the cannabis supply chain, but after that transaction happens, how does the flower, the effects, the products come alive in a destination? How does visitation work when cannabis becomes a product that attracts visitation and visitor dollars? And acknowledging that cannabis is also directly tied to airport flights, hotel nights, culinary spends, arts and culture, museum tickets. There is a ready, willing, and able audience called the cannabis motivated travel audience. And this is an audience that wants to visit destinations that offer a cannabis tourism experience. And this includes medical tourism, this includes leisure travel, and also wellness travel, the fastest growing category of tourism. And cannabis is this ancient medicine plant, right? So it's kind of coming out of prohibition. Now we're rediscovering all these therapeutic compounds. There's a lot of confusion between cannabis and hemp. There's also a lot of learning for the cannabis industry to do about what's the difference between leisure travel, medical travel, and wellness travel. And how is the cannabis visitor audience different than the cannabis consumer audience? So it is a global conversation. It's economically incredibly important. And at this foundational level, how we talk about it and making sure that our lexicon and our vocabulary is aligned globally is really an important effort. And that everyone does it together, that we work through what is the vocabulary, what are the words. My belief is that cannabis inherently is a travel trend grounded in well-being and wellness, with one foot in medical tourism, one foot in leisure travel. It also includes groups, meetings, and conferences. I'm actually sitting today in Leiden, Netherlands. I just went to a conference in Berlin, Germany, which brings in nearly, I crunched the numbers last year, I think it was close to $8 million, 8 to 10, of economic impact for the city of Berlin for a cannabis industry conference. And now I'm sitting in the country where there's been leisure travel in Amsterdam since 1975, when they had the first coffee shop open. And this country of the Netherlands has a story to tell. So understanding the gravity of what the opportunity is with cannabis tourism is very important. A little case study real quick is the Bulldog. The Bulldog is one of the biggest cannabis brands in the world. They were the first coffee shop in Amsterdam. They also now have a Bulldog hotel. They have a boat tour. They have clubs in different countries, including Ibiza. They had one in Canada for a while. They have an energy drink. They have a coffee bar. Cannabis was the industry they launched out of, but it's become a global brand that's grounded in cannabis culture. So this is the opportunity of cannabis travel and tourism and why it's important. I want to talk about two different economies that exist within cannabis and hemp travel and tourism, and what I see with this intersection of AI as well. So when we look at the economy, you see commodities, products, services, and then there's the experience economy and the transformation economy. I'm of the belief that with the emergence of AI, the economies that are going to get automated the fastest with that technology is going to be the commodities, products, and services. Services being time saved, right? Things that you want to do quickly, like an oil change or a haircut, things like that. When you step over that line to the experience economy, it becomes much more human, and it becomes these moments of emotion and memory. And instead of time saved, it's time well spent. And then there's a step further, which is the emerging transformation economy. This is human flourishing. This is learning how to elevate your quality of life and gaining knowledge and wisdom. And I really do believe that with cannabis and hemp emerging into the tourism sector and integrating into that, with that kind of layer of AI that's coming in, the role of cannabis and hemp in the global experience economy and the transformation economy is going to be an incredibly important story, especially because in theogenic effects, the microstate, the flow state, the journeying, where time and space shift, where the present moment is magnified, this conversation is really important, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because in theogenic effects, whether they're microstate, flow state, or journeying, they shift time, space, attention, and how you spend. And the fact that they influence human behavior in that way matters. And when you look at the cannabis motivated travel audience, which I've been studying for about 5 years now, there's the cannabis traveler, the cannabis wellness traveler, and the cannabis connoisseur traveler that spend money every year on vacation, whether that is need based, like medical tourism, or leisure travel. And this is an economic opportunity for destinations. So for all these reasons, the global relevance of the travel economy, the rise of wellness tourism coinciding with the rise of access to the cannabis and hemp plant, this meeting today and this conversation globally is really important. And it starts with lexicon, language, and data, and really clear communication. I just want to take a couple minutes. I know that I'm running short on time, but I want to touch on hospitality, where it becomes real. Because while travel is the system, the $10 trillion economy, hospitality is where it is the interface. This is the guest experience layer. So understanding where value is derived, where it was felt, where it's remembered. How did those hotels prepare to serve a cannabis interested traveler? Do they have CBD massages in their spas, in their wellness centers? When it comes to culinary, is there a connection between cannabis as an appetite stimulant and the reservation at your Michelin star restaurant while you're visiting the destination? And how does it all make you feel from a wellness point of view? And what does it all mean in relationship to mindset and setting when we're talking about these entheogenic effects? So hospitality and travel, when it comes to the cannabis industry, and quite frankly, the hemp industry, depending on what country you're in or what state, province, etc., this is a plant that has a lot to offer. It's really grounded in quality of life and balance and well-being and wellness, in my opinion. We can't leave out medical tourism. That's a really important part of this, as well as wellness and well-being tourism and leisure travel. And very importantly, that connective dotted line of how does cannabis complement or relate to arts and culture, or culinary, or nature hikes, adventure travel, because cannabis is best when accepted, accessible, integrated, and aligned with a destination brand and with a destination economy. So if you can still hear me, I think I may have, oh, it's still running. So anyways, I just want to say thank you for having me on. Kelly, was that my time warning? Sorry about
No, I just your screen is black, but we can still hear you. So you're still here. I
that.
don't
Okay.
know if your camera has popped out, but we can still hear you. And if you have any more thoughts, then please share them.
No, I just think lexicon's really important, and I want to
Oh,
thank the
excellent.
CCTA. If you want to stay involved, please join the Cannabis and Hemp Global Travel Network. We have the summit that the CCTA team is planning. We also are doing some exciting things around the network, having periodic meetings. We're going to really ground things in data, from what I understand, and research and lexicon. And this is going to be the global incubator for making sure that we are honestly, that we're serving the plant and we're able to make it relatable to the global economy. And we're able to stand this up to be a force for good and be a force for wellness and balance and well-being and community vitality. So thank you all for attending today. And thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to speak here, Kelly and team. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. I wish I had more of a round of applause. I'm sure everybody is rounding of applause, and I'm sorry that your camera's dropped out. But thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being part of that pioneering movement of the World Cannabis Tourism Day, September 27th. And like Brian was saying, we're creating a global council, a network of humans that want to participate and be together. We're going to meet on May 21st. So check us out, CanadianCannabisTourism.com, or even an email, admin@canadiancannabistourism.com. If you'd like to join, we need you if you're around the world. And we really are focusing on international travel, world, global travel, cannabis tourism. Today, Brian's saying he's in Europe. We have Otis, who's coming up in a little bit. He's in Scotland. We have Thiago's coming up. He's in Brazil. But right now, we're going to meet with our fellow Canadians of the Canadian Cannabis Tourism Alliance. And we have our president, Waleed Farah. We have our vice president, Jeremy Smith, if you're still there, my friend. And we have our director of tourism, Karen Mariano. And I call them the Can Avengers because I believe that we're volunteers. We're from the CCTA. And I just believe that this group of humans are heroes. They're heroes to me and they're heroes to serve our plant. Like Brian was saying, it's so important to have reverence for the plant, to steward the plant, to have respect for the plant, and to do everything what we do for the plant. And I can say for absolute certain that this team here are here for the plant. So thank you, my team, my partners, my best friends, for being and joining us here today on this summit. Jeremy, I'm wondering if you're still here. Are you there? I see Jeremy popping up in another way. I know Jeremy is a dad first and foremost before anything else that he does. And he is on his way to pick children up from school because we're at the end of school here.
There we go.
I think that maybe his sound isn't working and ours is, or something like that, or he can't hear us. But that is Jeremy. He is our vice president and someone that I call
I
our
can't hear
Avenger.
anything, guys.
Yeah, I don't think that he can hear. Can you hear? No? Karen, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear perfect.
Yeah, I think that I think Jeremy can. I'm going to take Jeremy out. Wally, you're on mute. And I don't think Wally can hear us either. Karen, can you hear? Were you able to hear Brian?
I can hear perfect. Can you hear me?
This is what happens with live broadcasting. Wally, can you hear?
Are we waiting to be let in or something? Or
No, we're in.
We're live right now, Wally. We're live right now in the Vancouver
I can't hear
Summit.
Kelly, that's all.
He can't hear me, I guess. We're in technical difficulty. We're a few minutes late. This is what happens when you have a live program. I think maybe Wally.
We saw Wally.
Maybe. I think maybe he's gonna try it again and come out and come back in. So Karen is just going to be a girls' chat right now. That's fine.
Oh, I love it, Kelly.
We'll just take it over.
Girl power.
That's right.
That's what it is.
You know what's so nice is that we do have a lot of women that are part of our network, are part of our CCTA. We have Priscilla that always comes. We have Education that are always there. We have Jennifer Morrison, who is our chair of membership, right? We have Anisha Reindorf, who is our ethics and inclusion chair. So there's a lot of women in this movement just in our end. And we're not even talking about all internationally. It's just so nice to see that we are doing that. I have some pretty pictures to show here. So we'll show some pretty pictures while we're waiting for Lolly and Jeremy to come up. So if you want to join the CCTA, you can come to our CCTA meetings. You can join right now. CCTA, CanadianCannabisTourism.com. We are members. They can come right now. They can join. I don't see Wally or Jeremy that has come back up. So you and I will just chat a little bit. So that was a beautiful day on September 27th. We had we went for 4 hours. We went from noon until 4:20 in the afternoon. And it was a busy day and we met people all over the world and now they're starting to come back. And whenever I'm talking to people that are international cannabis tourism pioneers, you know what they say? They say Canada is doing it first. Canada is the model. Canada is role modeling because we legalized first. So we're the people that when you go to parks, we don't just have a no smoking sign, you have a no cannabis smoking sign, right? And that's all over Canada because it's so integrated in our society. Now, Karen, you've been you've been working in the cannabis or in the tourism field for decades. I'm not going to age you. I'm not going to say how many decades, but you've
Thank
been
you,
doing it
sweetheart.
for a long time. And I'm wondering if you could you share a little bit about what changes you've seen since you came before cannabis became legal, and then now that cannabis is legal, what changes are you seeing as far as tourism and as far as cannabis tourism goes like that in the last little while?
I'm actually seeing so many international people traveling to our area because of the availability of cannabis in their lifestyle, whether it's through medical, whether it's recreational, whether just for information purposes. Now, I am doing some wine tours, and I have to say that the majority of the people that are on my wine tours imbibe in that delicious cannabis, whether it's a gummy, whether it is a drink, or even just smoking. And they do this on their own, basically in between all the different stops. And because it's legal, that they can sit out on the park bench or in the wineries really don't care. As long as you're not doing it inside their property, they're fine. So I see the more being acceptable in the tourism avenue. Now, when it comes to the hotels, Niagara Falls, of course, is one of the leading tourism areas of Canada, and the hotels actually have, little smoking areas for the cannabis as well as tobacco smokers. So I find that kind of cool that they've acknowledged, accepted, and I know a few of those hoteliers are actually business owners in the cannabis realm as well, getting ready to put it into their properties along with the casinos that are coming this way as well. But I also see that people are interested in learning more about cannabis. So working in the hotels previously, I would ask questions in regards to, it didn't matter what age you were. Is this something that you would like to do? Would you like to have a cannabis experience in a workshop, in a tour, combined with wine, combined with food? What is it that you are interested in if we incorporate cannabis? They want it all. They want it all. The older people want to know more about how they can, purchase a rub. The younger people, they like the gummies and the smoke. More mature people, we like everything, including the wine. But it is in the last 5 years, not so much since it's been around since 2018. It's really the last 5 years that I've seen more and more acceptance. Now, if we could get a little bit of that stigma removed for some of the powers to be out there, I think that we are just going to just flourish. The other thing is too, is I've been traveling internationally, and I've been talking to different growers in different countries. And I have to say that they are watching us. They realize we are the first ones to be legally across the whole country. The only problem is that sometimes they don't understand or know what they can do when they get here. And that is what, our CCTA is really trying to do internationally, helping others that are traveling to understand what they can and can't do in Canada when it comes to cannabis. Basically, having a wonderful portal to go into to show you where you can stop, where you can buy, who you can talk to, what kind of experiences that are available, just little things like that. And once we open up the avenue of advertising, then it's just going to take off like mind busters. So.
Right. No, I agree. I love that point. That's so important. So, are you finding then that international travelers are actually coming to Canada? They're choosing Canada
Yes.
because they can access cannabis. And is it just for recreation, or are people coming here because it's medical as well? Are they coming here for those kinds of benefits?
They're coming for both. Now, just to give you an idea, last year I had this lovely couple, and they need cannabis to survive. One has fibromyalgia. I can't remember what the other person had, but they both researched their honeymoon in regards to where they could find the product so that they could actually enjoy their honeymoon. And they didn't want to just stay in one area. They wanted to travel across country. So they chose Canada, starting with Niagara, because they were able to fly in, buy their product, enjoy the beautiful country, whether it was taking a wine tour that they did with me, or doing a train ride across country out to BC. So the eye-opening for me was hearing these ladies tell me that they chose us specifically because they were able to buy their product and enjoy without having to worry about, the side effects of not being able to have that particular product to ease their pain and to make them a little bit more happier as they're traveling.
That's such a huge deal. That's a
Huge.
big deal that people
Yeah.
are choosing to come to Canada because they can access cannabis here freely and openly. I go 2 minutes down the road and there's a cannabis store. Like we
Yeah.
have the greatest access in the world. And that's what I hear from a lot of people when they're thinking about where am I going on vacation? Come to Canada. And now it is our opportunity to make events and to create opportunity and to create things that people want to travel here for, right? Whether it's a festival or whether it's a spa or whether it's using cannabis on a golf course, we are creating that. And that's what a lot of our operators and our members of the CCTA are doing. I mean, we had a member that was a dog sled operator, right? I don't think he operates anymore, but wow, right?
He's
People
still
like
looking
dog
at it,
sled
Jacob.
with
Yeah.
cannabis. Yeah. We have Brian Lunt, who is our dear friend in Thailand, whose entire resort is cannabis. Like when you go to the ones like down in the Caribbean and it's all-inclusive alcohol. No, no, no. Now you can have all-inclusive cannabis. So we're seeing that pop up everywhere. Let's make that here too. Like, right? That's the opportunity that we have here in Canada. And that's what we're doing. But unfortunately, there was no framework that was written for regulations for cannabis tourism and hospitality. You cannot go into a restaurant and have infused food. That's completely illegal. I can't go to see my dear Blue Jays and get a cannabis beverage. Well, I can only have alcohol. That's all that's here. There's beer tents, but there's no cannabis lounges. It's like it was never written. That framework was never written. I don't know
Right.
if he can still. No, we don't have Jeremy. Jeremy went to get his kids. But I will say the work that Jeremy's doing, look at this. He got
It's
this letter
amazing.
from the actual prime minister of our country. From I'm so sorry, is Mark Carney? I don't know
Yeah.
politicians. I was
Yeah.
trying to remember. All I thought about was Justin Trudeau, and you know why, ladies. Mark Carney, he wrote this letter on behalf of World Cannabis Tourism Day to support us with that, right? And our very own Cannavenger just surprised us with this week from the Premier of Ontario supporting our 420 event. And so we have that. We have support from all areas. Like you're best friends with the Mayor of Niagara Falls and the Niagara Falls tourism region, right? So we have municipal, we have provincial, we have federal support that is helping us be able to shape this industry, to be able to have those kinds of regulations, and they're so needed. Okay, so before because I've taken up way too much of your time, and I know we're going to get to Thomas in just a minute because he's in a castle and it's going to be so cool. But
I
Karen,
love it there.
what do you see if we are able to change these regulations, which we will in the next year or two? What are we going to see? What's going to happen in Niagara Falls? Are people just going to go
I
crazy
see an
like Las
explosion.
Vegas? Yeah.
I see an explosion because really the only thing we're waiting for is the availability to advertise. We have grow ups that are waiting. We have store owners that are waiting. We have tour bus companies that are waiting. As soon as those doors open, that's going to be an influx of new wonderful experiences out there. Now, the thing is that once that happens, Niagara Falls, I hope, is like one, and Vancouver are the two forefronts that actually bring everything together. We do have a lot of the wonderful government in Ontario behind us. And we're invited to all of the big players meeting. So being part of Destination Canada, being part of the Niagara Falls initiatives, things like that are huge for us because it gives us the opportunity to meet the right people that can listen to us and understand the obstacles that we're finding to move. And as a tourism, professional, I've never had this kind of experience in my whole life where I am not allowed to do anything. So being, sort of pigeonholed to have a fantastic product and not be able to do anything with it is very frustrating. So these kind of events, these kind of get-togethers are going to create awareness to not just the people around the world, but also our government, hopefully, that will listen to the voices of all of us wonderful people that want to bring cannabis, into mainstream advertising.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up Niagara Falls and Vancouver, because if there were two cities in our country that are really doing this cannabis tourism forward, it would be those cities. And so, hello, Vancouver. What you're doing out there is legacy. It's historical, and you guys have been doing it longer than anybody else in the country when it comes to cannabis history and legacy. So you hit it right on the mark, my friend. Thank you so much for that, and thanks for joining us today. And
my pleasure.
Being part of this summit. Karen Mariano is our Director of Tourism with the CCTA. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we're going to take just one little break, hear a couple of promos, and set us up for the second half of the show where we hear from Thomas O'Neill, Otis Galloway, and Dr. Thiago. Educanation, a Canadian non-profit organization devoted to improving the quality of cannabis education and care across our nation and around the world. Educanation believes in continued education and support through the 3-tiered membership: cannabis education and outreach services, patient education and support through their holistic clinic model. Educanation, providing the highest standard of professional and responsible cannabis education. www.educanation.info.
One of the biggest areas for growth in the cannabis industry is actually cannabis hospitality. And did you know you could start your own business for under $5,000? Allow me to take you through my mentorship program to receive your cannabis hospitality stewardship certificate, where we're going to allow you to understand this plant in a way in which you can actually shepherd the plant to people. And not only a way to start a new career, but a way to actually enrich people's lives so they can use the benefits of cannabis to enhance their lifestyle. Please join me on this revolutionary journey.
Oh, you are in for a treat, because you're about to hear Philip Wolf speak next hour. He is on the panel, the High Pairings panel. And boy, that will be a treat, let me tell you. One of my favorite people to hear speak. Another of my favorite people to hear speak is the Butter Baron of Cannabis. How you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. I'm up against the clock, though.
You take as long as you need. I'm going to take myself up. Butter Baron's going to tell us about the Tourism Chronicles. He's going to tell us about the Caribbean. And he's in America right now, pioneering. Tell us what's going on there.
I am currently in Buffalo, setting up a culinary cannabis infused dining event. Our guests show up at 4, so I can't really go too long. Our clients, Nativa, are an indigenous brand in New York, and we settled in Buffalo to a pretty impressive venue. And what we're doing is doing a fully indigenous themed meal, bannock, butterboard, things like this, and demonstrating infused dining. But we've also got game meat that were hunted by the Seneca people. So we're really combining a lot of different culinary pieces. There's Chef Tim. All right, here you go. Say hi. And, this is my bar for the evening. As you can see, there is no alcohol. There is only fake alcohol, non-alcoholic rum, whiskey, gin, infused drinks. It is an alcohol-free event. This is one of our dining pieces, and then we've got ourselves another dining hall here. So very fun. And this is what we do at Agro. Aggressive Organics is, infused fine dining and mixology. So that's us in a nutshell, what we're doing. And it is introducing terpene flavor pairings, infused beverage service, single service, really a lot of fun. So this is what we're doing. We're doing this in the States. We have a booth at the CCTA's 420 Festival in Niagara at the Old Stone Inn on Sunday. I think I'm doing a demo for the Tourism Summit on Monday. And this is my, that's what we're doing here. And I'm also working, Kelly asked me to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the Caribbean. And we are basically pioneering down there. I've written some legislation for some countries. We're starting to do the same in South America. And I don't want to be rude about it, but what I'm doing with my crew is going around and intercepting pointless regulations that are being pushed on countries that are newly regulating cannabis. We go for that pharmaceutical model. It really only works if you have a established pharmaceutical pipeline. And a lot of these people, a lot of these countries down there, really, they should be tourism centric, tourism forward. They should be selling to the people coming off of the cruise ships, the people staying in the hotels. And, for us, it's wellness tourism as well. So, we work on the Nature Island. We are all about sustainability and building out an industry that is, that celebrates all factors. Where we are working in the Caribbean, there's a large indigenous tribe, the Kalinago, and there's legislation in there that includes the indigenous people in a way we didn't in Canada, which is changing also. I'm working with both provincial board and indigenous interests to try to figure out a way where we can all work together in a beneficial way. And the conversation in a lot of those rooms is tourism. In Ford's office, in Carney's office, when we're talking about cannabis right now, it's not just about pharmaceutical. It's about actually progressing a tourism model. Yesterday, I know Jeremy was with me in the Niagara Tourism Summit, and it was all the hotel owners. It was all of these people, very positive. Karen was there, and these people are ready. These people are ready to start doing what they do. And I've seen a lot of cannabis chefs. We've been joined by one. We have a lot of people working on a lot of things, and I think it's time we all get put to work properly.
Yes. Look at that. Ooh. I know you've got guests coming any minute now. And so I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing what you're doing down there, what you're doing in the Caribbean, and for being part of our Chronicles show and interviewing people around the world too. We'll let you go, Otter Baron of Cannabis, and we'll see you on Sunday and Monday at our 420 Summit. I took him out and left me out. No, I took myself out and left him. There we go. Talking and operating and producing. All right, boy, do I have a treat for you right now.
Oh my goodness, who's that name from the
Otis Galloway. And you got the music for that intro too. I love that music. You are a musician as well as a host of our podcast.
I wear many hats.
Many hats. You're part of the CCTA. And you are in Scotland right now. And it's 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night where you are right now.
Yes, it is. We're in the evening. It's getting dusky out here. It's a very lovely sunset, and been very nice, calm, a very lovely day. Actually, we had some sunshine, which is rare up in these parts.
Yeah, I know it's rainy and windy in Scotland, but we love it anyway. Hey, so Otis, we're in our third season. I think we just did
Yeah.
episode 4 or 5 with Zoe a couple of weeks ago. It just aired this past
Yes.
week. Oh my goodness, I love this show, and you're a wonderful host, and I
Oh,
appreciate when you come
thank
on
you
and you
very much.
host the
As the
people. My favorite thing that you say is that you love the people, that you, when you're interviewing them, you say, I can't believe I've just met another person from around the world. So I'm wondering, maybe you could share a little bit about highlights, some of
yeah.
the people that you've met. Share a little bit about that with
Well,
us, Otis.
I have to say, I knew like it was going to be a really good season when the first person I interviewed was actually from my place of birth, Bermuda. And from there on, it's been both educational and inspirational. The thing I'm really noticing is that the female energy and I like to call it re-liberation because all we're doing is re-liberating the flower. Um, I've noticed there's a lot of women getting involved at the grassroots level, and that's an awesome thing because I think without women being an integral part of this, it can't really be a movement that's going to have any kind. Because women, I'm telling you, man, when women get involved, there's some revolutionary things that take place, and I'm getting to see that energy. But yeah, there's a lot of feminine energy within the cannabis roots, like the grassroots of the movement. But the sustainable tourism, every person you talk to brings so much passion and energy. Um, you can't help but get excited about it, and it makes you want to get excited about it, and you want to really convey that passion to the viewers and to the listeners, and let them understand how I kind of feel like there's there is no limit to what we can do, and there's like we haven't even begun to explore all of the options and the things that can be built around cannabis tourism and how it can become this sustainable engine of not just tourism but creativity. There's all sorts of things that can come out of this, and I mean really the sky's the limit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought up Bermuda, what Nicole is doing down there. Holy, like,
Yes.
and we talked to the people, like we talked to Marcella in
Yeah.
Uruguay. Oh my gosh, I think that's one of my most favorite interviews ever because she just really gets the spiritual combination of food and cannabis, right? And like, and
Mhm.
really understands how to pioneer that. And Uruguay, I mean, Uruguay legalized before Canada did, and they have
Exactly.
clubs down there. And I like their club model that you can go and you can buy, you could become part of a club, a member of a club. You can buy your cannabis there, you can hang out there, you can grow there. And it's like, it's very communal. It's something that we missed out here in Canada. I hope when we free the plant in Scotland, which this is the mission that Otis and I and a wonderful network of humans are doing, we're freeing the plant in Scotland. I hope that when that happens, they'll have the model there of this cannabis club. That was one that was interesting. Who else am I missing? Claire, that was your first in Scotland. That was your
Yeah,
first one.
that's right.
Talk a little bit
Yes.
about some other highlights.
Well, I think like when we talked to Dr. Tiago, who's going to be on later, that was a really one of my favorite episodes. Um, oh my God, Fame O'Neill from New York.
Oh,
Yeah,
what a
she
bright
was
light
so much
there she is, eh?
yes, and she really got us educated on what's happening in the New York scene. The thing, like I said, it that always really takes me, that really sends me, is the things that people are doing in their little communities, and it makes me realize how important that like we really need to flex our muscle. And I think first and foremost, having advisory boards that are built of people from our community, meeting with the lay people from the government and what have you, and we can talk to one another and really convey the things that we want to do. Because I think that if we've got people speaking about it and articulating about it and about the different facets and the different configurations, we can really build some fantastic constructs of things. I mean, the relationships between cannabis and music, the relationships between cannabis, music, and food, the relationships between cannabis and food. I mean, when you take them apart and put them together, they're these wonderful modular experiential kind of packages that we can put together. And I mean, the sky, truly, the sky is the limit on these things.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And my motto and my mission is global freedom of the plant. So the more that we talk to people around the world and the more that we have that conversations and share what they're doing and, look what this person's doing, follow them and go to Thailand, go to see fame in New York, wherever, right? And that's how we get that through and that's how we free our plant. Otis, thank you so much for joining the CCTA, for being part of the movement there, for being part of the show, and for being part of our summit today. And watch Otis on KGL TV doing the Cannabis Tourism Chronicles every other Wednesday on KGL TV. Thank you so much, Otis, for bringing your joy and visiting with us today. We have one more guest. I'm so glad that Otis brought up Dr. Thiago, because I too, when I hear him speak, wow. And like he was saying, like when we're talking about pioneering cannabis tourism, like since the early 2012, was it 2010? Dr. Thiago, tell us what's going on in your part of the world. You're in Brazil, right, today?
Yes, good afternoon, Kelly. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a huge pleasure to be here and to share a little bit what's happening here with cannabis tourism here in Brazil. I prepared a small presentation for not losing myself and my thoughts, so I'm going to share with you guys now, okay? So the title of the presentation is Legal Cannabis Tourism in Contemporary Brazil and the Construction of Future Sceneries. So for us to start understanding cannabis tourism in Brazil, it is important to present a brief introduction about what's happening here in cannabis in general. So Brazil was one of the first countries to establish prohibitionist laws regarding cannabis consumption. It was called the Pito do Pango law in the city of Rio de Janeiro in 1830. Since then, the war on drugs in the country has been strongly influenced by racial bias, with Black and poor people suffering much more severe negative consequences of the war on drugs than white middle-class individuals. Since 2015, there have been notable advances in legal access to medical cannabis. In 2024, there was a huge step. The consumption and the possession of small amounts of cannabis were decriminalized. So it's possible to have 40 grams or 6 female plants without being a criminal. However, despite the decriminalization, recreational use is still illegal in the country. And now, in 2026, there were advances in legislation regulating the cultivation of cannabis for medical purposes within our national territory. So, in this context, is it possible for us to talk about cannabis tourism in Brazil, a country where the recreational use is still illegal? First of all, Brazil is an important source of cannabis tourists for many cannabis tourism destinations all over the world. In a research we did in our research group, we discovered that the main desired destination is Amsterdam, and followed by Uruguay, then United States, and then Canada, showing the importance of cannabis tourism for us here in Brazil as well. In our research here in Brazil, we could define some types of cannabis tourism that currently are practiced here in our country. The first one is the experiential or consumption-based cannabis tourism, which is still illegal in our country. The second type is the historical cultural cannabis tourism, which would be legal because it doesn't imply the consumption of marijuana. And the third one, which is maybe the most important in Brazil, is the cannabis event tourism, which is also legal. So talking briefly about experiential or consumption-based cannabis tourism, it happens here in Brazil, even though it's still illegal, the recreational use. And it happens in places with greater tolerance toward cannabis use. Generally, places associated with a historical presence of hippie movements or countercultural movements in general. So in every state, in every regions in Brazil, we have at least one small city that might be considered as a cannabis tourism destination focused on experiential or consumption-based cannabis tourism. When we talk about historical, cultural cannabis tourism, we're talking about a legal cannabis tourism in Brazil. We can see the possibility of developing itineraries, routes, trails, and actions based on historical and cultural aspects associated with cannabis. And it doesn't mean involving consumption of the substance. So that's why it's legal here. We already have some tourism facilities focused on the theme, such as the Cannabis Museum of Brazil in the city of João Pessoa, in the Paraíba state in the northeast of Brazil. It is the first museum, the first cannabis museum here in our country. And we also are developing now in our research group a historical cultural cannabis route in the city of Rio de Janeiro. We're going to present something for you briefly. So here we have some images related to the museum, to the Cannabis Museum in the northeast of Brazil. And here we have our project we're developing in our research group, which is called Historical Cultural Cannabis Tourism in the City of Rio de Janeiro. This is the logo, we produce it. And the theme, the main theme of this route is an immersive experience in the history of cannabis in Rio de Janeiro and in Brazil. And this historical cultural cannabis tourism includes historical and cultural heritage, Black and popular culture, and memory resistance and contemporaneity informations. We could find, as we called cannabis points of interest, the CPIs, we could find more or less 17 CPIs all over the city of Rio de Janeiro regarding historical aspects and also contemporary facts related to cannabis in the city. Here, we decided to prepare or to propose a free walk tour, cannabis free walk tour concerning historical and cultural information in downtown in Rio de Janeiro with 12 cannabis points of interest. So you can do it by yourself, self-guided, or you can also contact a local guide to improve local economy and to know a little bit more about the history of cannabis in Rio de Janeiro and how the history of Rio de Janeiro is also related to cannabis. Here are some informations that we present in each point. So the selling of cannabis before it was illegal here in Brazil, some news related to cannabis sales in Brazil in the 80s and 90s, and so on. And the third type of cannabis tourism that happens in Brazil nowadays, we could identify, it's the cannabis event tourism. And it's the most important one. We did a survey of cannabis events held in Brazil in 2023 and 2024, and we could find some interesting results. We had more or less 120 cannabis events in 2023. And in 2024, we had more or less 170 events, so it's growing. And in 2025, we could find 220 cannabis events held in Brazil. So a lot of people are traveling around our country and also coming from abroad to attend these events. Here we have the logos of the most important events, festivals and fairs that happen here in Brazil. And we could estimate that in 2025, at least 100,000 people attended to at least one of those events. So it shows us the importance of this type of tourism in Brazil. Here we have the poster of an event we developed in our university, in the State University of Rio de Janeiro, where we get together a lot of people that are working or are dealing with cannabis in Brazil in so many different areas, or perspectives. So in culinary and tourism, in legislation, in events, in marketing, in all different aspects, we got all of them together and organized these events, which called Marijuana in Contemporary Brazil. So for closing our presentation, I know that our time is running, which are the possibilities and the main challenges for cannabis tourism in Brazil nowadays? So prejudice as the greatest challenge we have here in our country, we still have. The prohibitionist legislation, the recreational use is still illegal. The scarcity of data, studies, and information that could support the decisions of those who wish to venture into cannabis tourism. There's a lack of information. The illegal status of recreational use makes it really difficult for us to develop cannabis tourism, hospitality practice, and experience here in Brazil. I was hearing a lot of experiences and examples the other speakers were giving, and I was imagining, when is it going to be possible to make something like this here in Brazil? Only when recreational use is legal. So in the activism, we are trying to change laws for us to achieve success as well in cannabis tourism and to develop local economies and to improve the quality of life of people. So in the future, with the legalization in Brazil, the full legalization in Brazil, we can think about the regionalization of cannabis tourism in different states and regions of Brazil, the recognition of the segment by the Ministry of Tourism. I think you already did it in Canada. We could think about some types of specific cannabis here in Brazil as manga rosa, which is produced in the Northeast. We could relate typical culinary with infusion foods and dishes and everything. So we have a lot of possibilities in cannabis tourism hospitality, but we can't develop them because it is still illegal to consume cannabis in a recreational way. So cannabis tourism as a potential tool for improving the economies of states and municipalities. We should work toward ensuring that cannabis tourism can contribute to historical reparation and social justice, mainly for Black people and poor people. And we should also develop a community-based cannabis tourism in favelas and peripheral areas. This would be really important here in Brazil. So for us not to conclude, because it's a theme that we can't say things are closed, we can notice the evident importance of events and fairs for the development of cannabis tourism and for changing society's perception and stance towards marijuana, especially in destinations where recreational use is still illegal, as here in Brazil. There is a real need for contributions to the development of definitions, concepts, and reflections on drug tourism and cannabis tourism, as well to stimulate discussions on these transdisciplinary and innovative topics. And for closing, the future of cannabis tourism in Brazil is promising, but it depends directly on regulatory advances that ensure legal certainty for all stakeholders involved, industry and tourists. Thank you very much for your attention. I think my time is almost over. Here have my contacts, and it was a huge pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, Dr. Thiago, you're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time for sharing that amazing information. What is going on in Brazil? 100,000 people attending their events? Wow, like that's blowing my mind what the stuff that they've been doing down there. And I'm going to have to travel there now. You've just sold me. I'm going to Brazil for sure. Oh, what a panel. What a panel. We've gone over a little bit over. We started a little bit late. We've gone over a little bit, but we have heard the most amazing information. Global world cannabis travel, hemp and cannabis travel around the world. It is that light. It is building, and we are at the forefront of it. So thank you, CCTA. Thank you for that panel. And now I'm going to introduce the next panel. We're back, Vancouver. We're back. So You Think You Can Cook with Cannabis is back in Vancouver. Well, just for a second. Thank you for letting us participate with your panel with the high pairings. And panel is powered by So You Think You Can Cook with Cannabis at the Vancouver Hospitality Summit. We're so appreciative of that, for all of the connection with New Amsterdam Cafe and being able to name Danny Diaz as our British Columbia's best cannabis chef, and she is. She won So You Think You Can Cook with Cannabis. We're about to do it in Ontario again, brought to us by Zipmaster. Hi, Kim, if you're watching. She's there right now, probably with a broken leg and not feeling so good, so make sure you're taking good care of her. Danny Diaz is coming up, and now I have the honor to be able to hand this panel over to the great Nicole Hines. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.